So Tabs is a diligence-as-a-service platform. It was built from the founder's perspective and investor's perspective of conducting early stage diligence, early stage, meaning anywhere from pre-seed to pre-revenue companies, all the way up to Series A or maybe Series B companies. But the sweet spot is really between that, 0 and 5 million being raised, which, as we all know, is a majority of the companies out there. And traditionally in the early stage diligence market, there is a very large opinion-based financing rather than off of quantitative metrics. So Tabs' main overarching mission here, and what we've, I'd like to think succeeded in doing, is taking qualitative metrics from an early stage business and assigning quantitative values to them, ultimately to then come together with a common denominator and output a score. So I'll be showing you a platform right now which has a live account from a venture capital firm called Pre-IPO. And as the name suggests, they work with companies that are, around X 100,000 in revenue or X millions in revenue before they go public. And they help them through that process. So I'll be showing you from their portal what that looks like. So I'm going to sign in right over here into their partner account. So partner accounts can be used by angel investors, venture firms, angel groups, incubators, accelerators, and, as Jens has told you, banks now as well. So this is what the portfolio section looks like for a partner account. You've got 4 different categories here. You've got the in review, the accepted, the past, and the pending. And in review is where all the companies go into after they've completed the tab score assessment. And this is where you can view their reports. Think of this as, like the name suggests, keeping tabs on all the different things that you've got going on. And in review just means you haven't moved it into either accepted or passed yet. Pending means that they've accepted the invitation to begin the process, but they haven't submitted it for review by yourself. So I'll be showing you what these reports actually look like a little bit later. I just want to go over the features of all the things that the partner platform can do. So right off the top, you'll see the 561 over there. And this little icon over here means those are Tabs tokens. Everything inside the Tabs ecosystem works off of the Tabs tokens. The subscriptions, the various subscription plans, deposit a certain amount of tokens into the partner account, and they can use that for inviting companies, looking at certain aspects of the deal room, following up with companies with regularly scheduled stand-ups, and a variety of other things as well. So right off the bat, I'd like to show you how these companies even get in here. So inviting a company works in 2 different ways. When you choose a predefined assessment or a customized assessment, you're basically saying, I would like to use the diligence metrics or the assessment style set forth by Tabs, which is engineered by successful startup veterans, angel investors, legacy investors, and founders. Or you're saying, I'd like to choose the different elements that go into this diligence assessment that I'm sending out. So let me show you.
Unet,
yes?
Unet, it may make sense, and I don't know, Yusuf, if you've sort of like understood that, but the companies on here, they have actually gone through a questionnaire that makes them come into this, right? So the questionnaire we'll look at that a little bit later,
right?
But they don't come in here magically, right? So there's various levels of questionnaires that then gets them into this, and you can work with them as a VC.
Right, and that's what I'm showing you now is inviting a new company into this, call it the whiteboard, the portfolio, the ecosystem. So you can choose the predefined questionnaire or the customized one. So let's take a look at what the predefined ones look like. So you've got 3 different types here. The main one that people use for a deeper dive is the tab suite on the right-hand side. This is about 120 point, which means 120 different various angles, the questions, types of questions, and encompassing 8 core values or 8 core competencies of the company's operations. This also gives out a valuation estimate and access to deal room for companies that are tab select, meaning certain score or higher. Mm-hmm. This cost is 449 tokens. As you can see, each one has a token value assigned to it. And again, that deducts from the partner subscription token subscription, which is deposited at the beginning of every month. The tabs light assessment is traditionally for pre-seed or seed, often pre-revenue or just starting out, those types of companies. So often you'll see these buttons on websites for incubators or accelerators, maybe startup programs saying, apply to us via tabs. And that button, which I'll show you a little bit later how that gets generated, will actually assign, that person clicking it to a specific assessment type. So tabs light is usually top of funnel, used for screening at a very high level. And the analogy I like to use here is think about the Harvard Business School, acceptance model. Incredibly selective, but they get hundreds of thousands of applications. So they just look at it from the top down. Do you have this, and this, and this? Are you this level or this level? And then if it's of interest, let's do the suite assessment. So let's go deeper into this. So the SMB portion in the middle, that's small to medium sized business. That's what SMB stands for. And as as the name suggests, it's traditionally for brick and mortar, small businesses, CPG, e-commerce, usually businesses with physical products or tangible services. So these are the three types of assessments, but inside of these, maybe you want to ask certain questions or certain areas, or want to exclude certain areas. For example, there's a law firm who's a partner on our platform that they don't want to ask the legal questions because they'd rather do that legal diligence themselves. So what I'm going to do now is show you a customized invitation. We're going to click, type in and then there's two sections down here. So if you look at where it says keep this deal private, that means, do you want to have this deal list in the deal room for other people whose deal criteria match this company's demographics or informational points? For example, Jens might have, I'm looking for fintech companies between 0 and 100K in this industry and this location. And based on that, do you want this deal to show up for other investors, or would you just like to keep it private to your partner platform? Build a company. This is pretty self-explanatory as well. This basically says, do you want to use your tokens up here, or do you want to pass off the cost to the companies? If you pass off the cost to the company, the tokens are equivalent for, one token is $1 or €1. But if you use the tokens, it just comes from the subscription amount that's deposited in the account. So for this purpose, let's click no. And now this is where you get to choose the different components. So let's say you want the detailed version, but you're going to want the business model, you want the unit economics, you're interested in who's on the cap table. Business strategy, sure, but maybe you're going to leave out diligence, you're going to leave out finance because you only want to know about people, product, and of course you want the traction. And let's collect information from the data room. The valuation estimate, let's say you've got your own method for calculating that, but you'd like to see ours as well, and you want to use the Berkus method, let's put that in there too. And boom, you have a customized assessment which goes out, including just these sections. In the coming weeks, partners will also be able to create modules on here and ask their own open-ended questions. So you may have, German-specific questions that you'd like to ask, or industry-specific questions, which will be deployed onto the platform in the coming weeks as well. So you'll be able to select from a drop-down called industry-specific questions and choose, let's say health tech, med tech. And now it'll start to ask questions specific to that, which will also show up in the report. So what does this look like on the flip side? I'm going to pull up a mock-up of the report, which is actually a real live report from another company, just so that you can see, the full breadth and the way that the information is displayed. While I pull that up, are there any questions so far, or fairly straightforward?
It's pretty straightforward, thanks.
Awesome. So I've switched the view now to our Figma, which is a way that we can show, component-based demos. So this is a report overview. This is when someone, like a partner or a company, views their results, or you view a company's report, this is what they're seeing. The report overview obviously is the high level page. It shows you the founders, any investors that are involved, the revenue buckets, industry, and it shows you the most important aspect, which is the tab score itself. Now, you may be wondering, much like other partners, what does 8.5 mean? What does 8.55 mean? What does 6 mean, 9 mean? And there are a variety of different factors that make up this tab score. You can see right over here, the high level, just by looking at the score, you can understand, okay, they did well here, they did well here, not so great here, and okay, a few things missing here and there. So primarily the tab score report does not replace the diligence process, but rather helps you guide that conversation with that company. You use it as the way of, going into a meeting with an agenda or a bullet point list saying, here's what we're going to talk about. So often partners will use this and say, okay, let's start off in product diligence. We'll make our way down here in the team. And then, it seems like the business strategy is pretty well thought out. We can touch on that later. So obviously, things in an early stage company can change rapidly in the course of 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. So you've got two buttons at the top of the report. You've got a request update and you've got a report history. So you can actually go back and see what happened in this company. Where was this company at 6 months ago or a year ago? And maybe, if the report is outdated per your standards, let's say this is, 1 year old, you can actually go ahead and request an update. And again, deduct that from your token balance, and that company will get a request to update a lot of the things that they've put in here, which will then be visible in report history. So just to show you,
Una, do you have a picture of how sort of like the history looks? Is that then sort of like next to each other, or how does that actually get displayed visually?
Yeah, so the report history will just drop down and show you the different dates that it was taken, and it'll replace this dashboard with that report. Okay. Down the line, we'll be adding in, similar to how when you visit a technology store online, or, let's say Apple, you can actually compare a couple products side by side. This will have that ability down the line once there's a long enough report history.
Right.
So the tab's valuation estimate is based off of a proprietary algorithm. We also use certain well-known methods out there. For example, the Berkus method is a popular one for early stage companies. So this is just a visual representation. I mean, everything about the tab score is how can you quickly use this to guide your conversation? How can you quickly aggregate all the information collected from the company in a visual manner, so it's not just a hunk of text or notes from an analyst? So these are the different components of the valuation algorithm. Again, these are all just estimates. They can be used as pre-money, post-money. It's just to give a visual standpoint. In terms of unit economics, where we'll be changing this section to really be about financial overview rather than unit economics, because this shows you the actual projected versus actuals. So you can tell from a company's inputs that they put in, they can add up to 5 years, 3 years, 7 years, whatever they'd like. And this shows you a visual representation of where they're at. Have they met projections? Are they pre-revenue? And this also helps the AI and the machine learning system determine what stage is this founder at? What stage is this company at? They said that they're raising 5 million, but they have no actuals, and their projections are just round numbers that seem to be increasing by 20x each time. Let's move this founder to a slightly inexperienced, bucket and start to ask more high-level questions. Mm-hmm. I'll come back to this screen over here shortly, but cap table, arguably one of the most self-explanatory screens, but again, just a visual way to highlight and see who is involved in the company, a quick LinkedIn button to get to their profile, and just a high-level ownership without necessarily going too deep into the actual structures. Mm-hmm. Now, as a bit of a data nerd, clearly, this is one of my favorite screens, the unit economic and the traction screen. This is arguably what is the most important to an investor, in this process or in these stages, because they want to know, okay, just from a 30,000 foot overview, you're doing 6 million, you got 40%, month-on-month growth, 20% retention. Okay, now I've got a good understanding of where we're at. And the company can actually, when they're entering this, the system is asking them questions that are dynamic based on what they're entering for the previous question. Now, what that means is it might start off by, okay, what's your net revenue? Oh, you're doing 6 million? Well, what was the user growth month on month? So it starts to create these modules based on its understanding of, well, if you have revenue, you must have month on month growth, which means you must have signed contracts or a SaaS. So it'll start to pull these together. So this is a really cool, modular section that allows you to keep that top-down view. When you go into some of the more, data heavy or let's say wordy sections, business strategy, legal diligence, finance, this allows you to see it, again, in the spirit of keeping tabs through like a manila folder. Think of it as getting a report on your desk and being able to flip through these different tabs, just the high level information about key activities, partners, all that kind of stuff. And again, this is not scraped information. This is data entered by the company. So you're expecting it to be, 10 times more accurate than what you see online.
Mm-hmm.
Tabs has a very strong focus around giving value back to the founders as well as to the investors. So one of the main things that we aim to do is, aside from just saying, look, you scored, 8 or a 6.0, no thank you, we're not moving forward. We actually go off and tell you, look, these are the things that you do well, but here are some action items for each section that you should actually take into account, because this is where you lost points. Let's say, haven't taken initial steps to file a trademark, but you're doing 5 million in revenue. Clearly there's some brand recognition here. These types of things which explain in a checklist format, saying, go down this, use this as a way to actually help improve your score. So the next time when you're requested an update, you are not just shooting blanks, but you've actually taken the time to go through, and fix some of the stuff. The data room is another area where this saves a ton of time. Instead of having teams of analysts or a project lead or point person go back and forth, hey, company X, we were in a meeting, we realized we don't have this, we don't have that. Just have everything where you need it in one place. You can download these. And then I think there was a good question on a demo yesterday, I believe, where, well, who has access to this? So if it's in the deal room, and other partners will have to request access to this, and that request will go to the partner that invited this company and or the company itself to be able to allow or decline access to the data room, since sensitive documents relating to patents or IP could be in here. And that last screen I skipped over, this is another angle of giving value back to the founders. This is one section that you as a partner can choose to include in your invite to the company, or you can choose to, hide it. But this basically looks at comparative analytics and gives out tailored recommendations based on recent fundings. These investors, their sweet spot, whether they like to co-invest or lead, here are the best people from our proprietary databases of, VCs, family offices, angels that have given us information quite directly, saying, this is what I'm looking for. Maybe they're on the platform and their preferences are set, saying, I want seed, late seed, and Series A in clean tech environment. Here's my name, here's my email, send me these reports. These companies actually have this icon right over here where they can quickly get in touch and get introduced by warm intro and a link to their tab score report. Incubators and accelerators as well. If they're a match for it and they fit, here's a quick apply button. Grants, here are the 4 different grants or 3 different grants in your state that are the most accurate that you would qualify for. So this is just obviously a couple of the sections of how detailed the tab score report is. And the fact that this report is compiled in less than 30 seconds after the company has gone through it, that's where the real wow factor of this algorithm comes in. Is regardless whether you have 500 employees, 5,000 analysts, whatever you have on staff, at some point it's not humanly possible to aggregate all that information together in a visual format in less than 30 seconds. So that's why we have some mega funds. We have massive, let's say one of the top 4 consulting companies or advisory companies are on our platform, despite having tens of thousands of employees.
So
just like we have diligence as a service, we are also coining the term SPV as a service. So similar to how companies like Assure or other firms are doing it, you will actually be able to, or with other partners, take a company that's in review or accepted create a workspace almost, drag it in there, invite other partners from the Tabs platform to join that workspace. And then when you're comfortable with the number of companies in that workspace, or maybe it's just one company, you can actually spin off an SPV right from the platform, get all the documents, all the K1s, well, in Europe it'll be different, but all the necessary documents to file and maintain that SPV. And we plan on integrating with Plaid. If you're not familiar with them, they were the company that was about to be acquired by Visa.
By Visa, right.
Yep. So, they were the company that, was going to be acquired by Visa. We're going to be integrating with them to actually be able to fund the SPV and form the paperwork and include all the people, send out all the documents in 60 seconds. So that will be a huge, that's a huge part of the product roadmap in the next few months, actually, not very far out at all. Right. So the My Team section allows anyone to be invited to the platform as long as you send them an invitation here, and they will be a part of your partner account and will be able to comment on or tag each other and be assigned to a deal.
Right. Okay.
So Yusuf, one of the things I haven't told you about yet is the assessment settings section. And this is really cool because if you remember when I went back to how a score is calculated, or I asked you, what does 8.5 mean? What does 6 mean? What does 9 mean? Every firm is different. Big VC firms have a different investment mandate and what they look for as opposed to angels. So what the tab settings allows you to do is actually go through and give each type of give each type of category or assessment component a weight towards the overall score. And this allows you to actually tailor that score to you so that when your firm sees a 9.0, it is because maybe you value team higher than product market fit, you value prop over customer segment. And you can actually choose, look, don't show the traction if they're only doing 0 to 2K, but show it if they're doing more than 50K. You can really start to teach your AI, its mini AI bots that are inside of your own platform to truly make the experience your own. And to like we mentioned, to be able to get that top of funnel or how do those companies get into your portfolio section? The other way to get them in there, aside from inviting them manually from the platform, is to use this feature on the bottom, which creates a button where you can say, apply to DHB via tabs. Let's say your logo was an orange or a green logo, and you want the tabs light to be the assessment that is linked to this button. So now when you pull this button and you get this code from here where it says copy button code, and you put that on your website under whatever your program is, as soon as someone clicks this, they will automatically be a part of this platform and begin the tabs light assessment, or if you can choose suite if you want. But this allows you to then have a seamless integration of, okay, every day I'm going to look in review and all these companies are over there because they came from our button. And again, everything ties back to the subscription for the platform. These are dynamic based on usage. So this is for this base platform right now. But as you start to use it more and the system understands what you are using the most, whether you're using Deal Room or My Portfolio, these subscription prices will dynamically change to best suit the partner that is looking at this platform or utilizing it.
Right. No. Great. Super.
So are there any questions? Sorry, I didn't touch on the Deal Room. The Deal Room is the best way for you to view other investment opportunities, other deals that are being shared by VCs, family offices, and other partners, as long as they had selected the yes option when it says make this deal available to others. So, you can actually filter by certain scores. You can filter by location. You can choose whether to be industry agnostic or just to look at, all of them. And you can actually go ahead and search for different deals that'll pull up here. And the same way you can be shared deals from other partners. You can say, Jens, take a look at this deal. I've just shared it to your Tabs account. And now you see, their score. You can connect with that company directly, or you can view their report. And this is, shared by another partner. So these are the main functions, right now of the Tabs platform. And obviously in the world of SaaS, every few weeks that goes by, the platform makes strides ahead. So already we've packed this platform with such amazing features. The next things I mentioned, SPV as a service, as well as integrations with your favorite tools. So, Zapier, Slack, Monday.com, being able to pull deals directly into your CRM and have a link to their tab score report in your whatever other tools that you're using.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.